What's up, world? It is Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's AEW Dynamite Live. Follow it up with your boys here on the Wrestling Inc. channels, talking all things AEW Dynamite and some other top headlines, plus all the wonderful comments and questions coming into the podcast. I'm Justin LaBar here alongside my partner in crime this Wednesday night. He is former WWE referee for over 20 freaking years. He is the man, the myth, the Greek legend, Jimmy Korderas.
What's up, JL? I'm happy to be back. I was going to do some very bad karaoke right now, but I won't do it.
No, go ahead, please.
No, I was going to, because it was more like, guess who's back? Back again. J&J's back. Tell a friend.
Perfect. I mean, what's better than Jimmy Korderas not only doing karaoke, but doing karaoke to Eminem? I mean,
yeah. I'm old school. What can I say?
I like it. Who was when you're traveling? Obviously, again, it spanned 20 plus years, so obviously music's constantly changing. But like, did you have like a go-to like when you're traveling, something that just calmed you down, something that got you hyped up before you took the ring? What'd you do?
It was weird. I was all over the map because there are certain guys that listen to, let's say, some metal music, and then other guys will listen to some other stuff. I took it all in. When we were driving, I used to like to be behind the wheel because the rule was whoever is behind the wheel gets to control what plays on the radio, what we get to listen to. So, besides the fact that I'm a bad passenger, I also love that part about it.
Because you fall asleep?
No, it's just, I get bored easily, and especially you're traveling with Chimmel, so that's not hard. So you need that radio to keep you going. And I liked everything, but again, late night drives, you listen to music that kept you up. You know what I mean? And there are other times where we would travel on, whether it was a bus or a plane or whatever the case may be, where you just something nice and mellow and mellow out, or you listen to some Toto or something, and again, or believe it or not, some rap, some old school dance music, and some old school R&B. I loved R&B, and which surprised a lot of people. Quick story here: one night, Chuck Palumbo somehow got left behind by his group, and he was like, we were finished setting up the ring, and he's still there, and we're like, Chuck, what are you doing here? He says, you guys got room in your car for me, because I got left behind. This was yeah, hop in. So he got in the car, and I have a bad habit of singing along to songs in the car, and I may not know the words to the songs per se, but as the song is playing, they come to me.
Yeah.
If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
So when we get to our destination, Chuck goes, "Thank you for the ride. And by the way, Jimmy, do you know the words to every song ever written?" And I said, "No, they just listening to it. It comes to me anyway."
That's good. What about the gym? Like, I'm sure you had to do a little gym, right, to keep the cardio up, to keep up with those guys in the ring, huh?
To be honest with you, my cardio was basically a little light jogging after setting up the ring, because when you're setting up the ring, you're lifting, you're doing your stuff. Trust me, it's a workout.
Yeah. All right. A little insight. He brought up the music. That got me down the wormhole of questions for you of music and the travel of Jimmy Korderas. Very good. Thanks to everybody who's joining in live. Of course, you can be live across all the channels: YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, whatever your fancy is. Or if you're checking us out after the fact on the audio only, maybe it's Thursday morning where you're at, listening to us on your way to work, on your way to school, doing whatever around the house, whatever the case may be. Make sure you tweet at Justin LaBar, at Jimmy Korderas. Let us know how you're checking out this podcast. Of course, if you're listening and watching live and you happen to be in the chat, that's the real high status, because you can become the third man of this podcast, at least for a few moments. Super chats and other notable chats will work in as best as we can. Jimmy, let's before we get into Dynamite tonight, let's get into some of the news headlines. There's two specifically I want to bring up. You can read in full about these and more on WrestlingInc.com. But first, there's apparently, I guess, some consideration, some speculation about WWE internally talking about doing an NXT stand and deliver event again, and doing it somewhere in line with the already existing stadium shows that are on the calendar. Of course, WWE's got several stadium shows still to come. The preference, this is all according to @WrestleVotes. It's become a very prominent Twitter account that's seems to always have a little extra inside knowledge. And they tweet that the preference would be to do it at the Clash at the Castle, Saturday, September 3rd in Cardiff, Wales. But SummerSlam on Saturday, July 30th at Nissan Stadium, home of your Titans, that seems more likely. The other stadium show scheduled for the summer is Money in the Bank, which is set for July 2nd in Vegas. It's noted that everything is still to be determined, but they're looking at doing an NXT Stand and Deliver. Of course, the last NXT Stand and Deliver was during Mania 38 weekend, which was held. It was kind of a matinee show, before night one of Mania. So, reaction to them still, even though NXT is a different looking NXT than what it was just a year ago, they're still trying to coincide it with the major main roster events.
Yeah, to me, it makes logical sense because you do want to, get your product out there, and it is starting to get out there. And I know people have their preferences. Do they like the old black and gold version of NXT versus today's colorful 2.0? That's not the question. The question here is from a business standpoint, does it make sense? And I think it does. And you mentioned one of the considerations is the one in Cardiff, Wales, which I think is a good idea because, going back to Cardiff, Wales with a stadium show, having a stand and deliver there where you can utilize talents from both NXT here in North America, the top talents that they have here, and incorporate them with the NXT UK talents. So to me, that one would make sense, or even at SummerSlam, because SummerSlam is considered one of the top 2 pay-per-views. It's the number 2 pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, some people could argue that maybe it's Royal Rumble because that's the one that leads up to WrestleMania. But in a sense, it is the show of the summer, and I don't see why not. You're using a big stadium show. Why not utilize the facility while you have it?
Yeah, so I'm kind of torn. I get all those arguments you just made, but if they're gonna continue with Stand and Deliver to be in a venue, obviously not in the stadium. If it's gonna be again on like matinee kind of time, I just feel like it just highlights like, okay, you have this big stadium show that you're gonna do here, but then we're gonna go to, I don't know, a smaller convention center or an arena or something to do this other show during the day. I feel like it just doesn't. I feel like it's just reminding people intentionally or not intentionally. This is not, this is our minor league feeder system, and then the the NXT 2.0. It's entertaining for what it is, but it is definitely going back to the basics of being, we are getting you ready for Raw and SmackDown. It is not the third alternative, is not the glorified indie that the black and gold was, that could go out and sell out a Barclays Center on a SummerSlam week. I feel like it's just contradictory. It's like, tell me which one it is. Like, I understand wanting to get the guys and girls reps in front of different audiences. That is good. A different lot, because that's the ultimate way of learning. But I just feel like it's contradictory. I don't know what they're trying to do. It's like, yeah, we want to bring them along for the big stadium show, but then we're going to put them in a B level or C level venue and time. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I get that argument as well, and that does make sense. But at the same time, NXT is, and right now, very prominently like you said, get the talent ready for the you jump to the main roster, whether it be Raw or SmackDown. Whereas before, you almost looked at NXT as kind of, or that was treated almost like an equivalent third brand at times. Whether people actually perception-wise viewed it that way, talent-wise and from a presentation standpoint, it definitely was on par with the other two. Now this is basically, you're getting the same type of presentation, so to speak, getting them ready. So it is a developmental system for the main two products. So in that sense, to me, it does make sense to have them in a smaller venue.
I would almost prefer maybe a hybrid of everything we're talking about. Maybe rather than putting on a whole separate event, rather than having Clash in the Castle, which will be, at this prime time in Wales, with Raw and SmackDown storylines, maybe take the top 2 or 3 storylines from NXT and let them be featured in that main show. So so if you have Braun Breaker and Joe Gacy is a top story, and then maybe you take a top women's story, for a women's title, let those be, because let's face it, if you're in NXT 2.0, if you're on NXT 2.0 TV, it doesn't necessarily, if you're on there, that doesn't necessarily mean you're ready for Raw or SmackDown just yet. That's why you're still there, for filling out your duties and booking there. But chances are, if you're the world champion, if you're holding one of the titles in that brand and or challenging for it, chances are you may not be ready week to week yet for Raw or SmackDown. They might not have anything for you, so to speak, but you're probably good enough to where they can afford to put you on for one match on a main event, and just to give the audience a little taste. And it helps cross brand of, hey, why you should tune into Tuesday night if you do want to see a little bit more of this guy or girl. So I'd always rather just a hybrid rather than making a whole separate show. Just infuse a little NXT section, a little NXT division matches in the big stadium show to make Braun Breaker and an NXT champion feel even bigger.
Well, that's a good argument as well. And I know you might disagree with this one too, but there's always a pre-show right before the main pay-per-view. And why not have two of those top matches on that pre-show instead of having an hour worth of talking in one filler match, so to speak? Have a prominent NXT match in that spot, maybe leading up to the pay-per-view. And people who are tuning in could see that match there. Of course, promote the you-know-what out of it and let people know, listen, our NXT champion will be defending the title on the pre-show, so tune into the pre-show, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, everything we're talking about could all be possible. It's nothing's official yet. It's all again speculation, but so we'll see how it goes. But certainly a different context of how to handle NXT 2.0 moving forward. Again, now that it is not, it's not trying to be what NXT used to be. A couple chats here, people coming in here. Night one says, I listened to Jimmy on the House of Hardcore podcast before Dynamite. Okay.
Oh yeah, House of Hardcore. That was the one with Tommy. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with Tommy. He's a good dude, man. He's a good dude.
It's hard not to have fun with Tommy.
No, it is hard. I even have. I should have wore tonight my Tommy Balls T-shirt.
William Melendez, usually listen to you guys at 2:30 a.m., but glad to catch it live.
Thank you, William.
Very good. Very good. Super chat here from Daniel. Haven't seen Alfred for a while. Alfred's still on the Tuesday nights and Friday nights here on Wrestling Inc. So if you are missing some Alfred Cunningham, you definitely can still check him out on those nights right now. And of course, check him out on Forbes.com. He's always a content generating fool. Always got new stuff that you can check out there from Alfred Cunningham. All right, the other news story here, a little bit of controversy, and what would pro wrestling be without some controversy? This is a report coming from Fightful Select. Now, the Women of Wrestling, it was announced back in the fall, Women of Wrestling was making a comeback. Jeannie Buss from the Lakers, she was behind it in terms of the funding and management. AJ Lee, an executive producer. They announced they actually had a multi-year distribution deal with Viacom CBS, and that on the CW and CBS stations beginning in the fall of 22 here, that you would start seeing the Women of Wrestling product once again, and they were actually set to start taping some episodes. I think this Thursday, this weekend, this long week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Globe Theater in Los Angeles. But Fightful Select is reporting that Tessa Blanchard may not be part of it. Now, Tessa Blanchard, she was going to be one of the building block, one of the people they're building around, it seemed, in this relaunch. But it seems like, according to this report, that there might have been a major falling out. Now, you can read more into great detail. Fightful Select even notes it's hard to get confirmation. It's hard to get confirmation with stuff in wrestling anyways, because of what should be spoken, what shouldn't, breaking kayfabe, etc. But even harder in this case because you're dealing with a business environment where apparently many people involved have signed an NDAs, non-disclosure agreement, so they're not supposed to be speaking about anything that's going on set, on property. So making everybody probably that much more cagey about not wanting to lose their job or get sued or anything like that. So, but anyways, it basically, through this whole report, as best as they could figure out, it seems like Blanchard, she was also working, I guess, helping run like a training class, and perhaps an incident, a promo with another talent, and it just notes, and Tessa's had some other rocky stops in her career, it seems. She had a notable one leaving Impact, and one source even says on her anonymity that if she wants to work, she's gonna have to go to Mexico. If you like Tessa, the one quote here is, "If you're a fan of Tessa, you'd better learn Spanish." So again, a lot of speculation. Obviously, Jimmy, neither you or I are there, but I guess I'll toss it to you this way: there just seems to constantly be smoke around Tessa Blanchard, and when there's smoke,
there's usually fire. Look, like you said, I don't want to assume anything here, because we all know what happens when you assume. At the same time, there's no doubting or no questioning her in-ring ability and how good she is and how talented she is. This is, again, someone who's suffering apparently, allegedly, from other issues, and her issues are dealing with other people, like you were talking about, helping train some talents down there where she went off on a talent or something like that, and all that. Again, I don't know this to be fact. I only know, like you, what we hear. And, like you said, where there is smoke, there is usually a little bit of smoldering going on as well. I sometimes people over exaggerate things in these day and ages. I don't want to say that we've become soft in 2022 and everything offends us, but at the same time, there are procedures in place in how to handle other people. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's true, but it does apparently, air quotes here, seem to be an issue with Tessa not being able to get along with some people.
Yeah. Unless, you always have to ask the question in wrestling. They're getting ready to start taping this weekend. New relaunch, trying to get some buzz. Unless it's all work, brother.
Hey, there's people out there who still think the Montreal Screwjob was a work. So hey, you never know. It could be stuff out there just to get some press, some publicity, but at the same time, why is it always Tessa Blanchard who falls in that category?
Yeah, why is she always the lead casting for the work?
There you go.
For the controversial work.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll see. Again, I kind of gave somewhat of a summary of that, but again, this report, if you want to kind of read more about the details that are believed to be of what this promo incident and what have you, can go to wrestlinginc.com. They have this story in full. Again, attribution back to Fightful Select for that story. All right, let's jump into AEW Dynamite tonight, Jimmy. They were in Baltimore, Maryland, and starting hot. I mean, they had so much to pack in this show, to the point of Jim Ross hadn't even finished getting out his opening welcome, and they were already hitting Adam Cole's music. I mean, seconds were valuable tonight, as we note all the way into the main event. But we start with Adam Cole. He comes out. He's going to sit on commentary to watch one of his boys, Bobby Fish, up against Jeff Hardy. This is a Owen Hart qualifier. We're going to finish out our men's qualifying matches here on this episode. So we'll give you the full bracket before this episode's done. If you haven't already seen the bracket, it's quite interesting. Jeff Hardy making his singles debut in AEW, so it's the first chance to see Jeff Hardy in this capacity. Not a very long match. This match pretty straightforward here. Bobby Fish gets a few moments of hope, but ultimately Jeff is going to hit a swanton bomb on Bobby Fish, and he's going to get the win. And after the match, the Young Bucks are going to come out, tease a little stare down with the Hardy brothers before they check on their undisputed elite brethren. Reaction to Jeff Hardy. He's the right guy to win this, right?
Absolutely. I think he's the right guy to win this. And there could be an argument made that at the end of the day, he might be the right guy to go all the way in this thing. There is an argument to be made there. But at the same time, I enjoyed this match very much. I thought, like you said, a hot start to the night with Adam Cole, Bay coming out and getting the crowd hyped. And then having this match, which was a good, solid, they did their things, but they did it in the right way. I thought they told a hell of a story, and with minimal, if any, interference. I don't even recall any interference. Was there any?
No, I don't think there was.
Which was a nice change. And I thought, like I said, they told a good story. I thought the right guy won, and they had a hell of a match. It was a great way to open the show, I thought.
I agree.
And the stare down at the end, like you said, it wasn't too much. It planted seeds. They didn't get into any fisticuffs or anything like that afterwards. It was just a nice little stare down, a little face off, since we're in hockey playoff season. And it planted the seeds, and it made you go, love to see the Hardy Boys of yesteryear. I could almost picture them in the same, tie-dye colored old trunks that they used to wear versus the Bucks in, us back then versus us now.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was done well. This is a great opener. This was not any longer than what it needed to be. It was right there for it. Jeff, right in his wheelhouse of doing the things. I mean, he looks great. Jeff was just here, as I've been promoting for weeks. He was just here last Saturday. We had our big show here in the Pittsburgh area. Matt and Jeff both there in action. Both look great. Both out there wrestling for 20 minutes. So it's great to see Jeff at his age and in his 40s, which obviously is not a young man anymore in pro wrestling, still out there looking great up against Bobby Fish. Exactly what this needed to be. Jeff in the tournament makes for a very interesting, as you said. We'll make our predictions in a little bit once we get through the whole bracket, but very happy to see that's the direction they went in. And obviously, Young Bucks, Hardys, they have met before in a pro wrestling ring in different places. Of course, they have not met yet in AEW. That would be the highest profile place for them to be up to this point, and certainly the most money that can be made up to their point. So don't know when, but certainly, as you said, plant the seed. You can go and tap into that growth whenever you want.
Just don't do what seems to happen. I'm not saying in AEW, but it seems to happen a lot in this world nowadays. Is don't rush it. Take your time. Yeah. There's a heck of a story here. That, like you said, they have faced each other in the past elsewhere, but this obviously would be so high profile. I would promote the living you-know-what out of this match whenever it happens. That's for sure.
Well, I'm going to promote the living you-know-what out of Manscaped. That's right, Manscaped, our friends, Manscaped. They are the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming. And as always, they have the best tools for cleaning aisle 5 in your pants. That's right. You don't want to go to anybody else except for Manscaped for all the trusted products for making sure you're taking care of yourself with all your grooming decisions. Join the other 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com, using that code right there on your screen, WINC20. And when you do, you can save 20% on the order plus free shipping. That's a great way. So if you're looking to try it out, okay, Justin, you keep talking about it every week. That's a great incentive right there to try. You're already getting some discount for free shipping, and the products are tremendous. And no matter what product you need, you have the full package for your spring cleaning, whether it's Performance Package 4.0 with all the wonderful shaving tools and grooming tools, including the reduced skin safe technology they have to make sure you're not blading in the bathroom, nothing like that. They have all that good stuff. Plus, they have the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. They also have the Weed Whacker. They have the ear, hair, and nose trimmer. They have the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver. They have the body wash. They have the shampoo. They have cologne. They have shirts. They have boxers. They have a wonderful Manscaped shaving kit. Every single product, you can go on the website, see them all. I have every single product I just rattled off. I have them all. I use them all. I love them all. Manscaped.com. Again, it's, we always use the context of, making sure you're ready for any intimacy that might come your way, any romance, you're groomed nicely. But hey, even if it's not romance, talk about, the weather's warming up, you're going to be getting into that bathing suit soon, you're going to be outside some more. Make sure you're just taking care, you're looking good, okay? Manscaped.com is the place to be. Don't come out there looking like Giant Gonzalez bodysuit, just not needed. And if you don't get that reference, go to the Google. Go open it. Don't shut this podcast off, but open another tab or open something else and Google that, and you'll go, okay, I get it. Don't want to do that. Not cool. Nobody's liking it.
There you go.
So Manscaped.com, of course, smell oh so fresh and so clean this summertime. Again, we can't say enough about Manscaped. Do not try anything else. Manscaped is where you need to be. If you're talking about, all right, I got to do some grooming. We're talking about grooming in some delicate areas here. I'm telling you. They are the way to go. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It is precise. It's got an LED equipped light. It's safe. You shouldn't be hurting yourself. So can't say enough about Manscaped.com. WINC20 is the code. Manscaped, Jimmy, use it.
Yeah. They do ship to Canada, so
They do. Super chat here from Robert Martinez, $4.99. He says Jeff Hardy reminds me of the Midnight Express, like his character doesn't keep with the time. At least Matt changed his character and got it over. Robert, I don't know. I disagree. Matt has certainly done some different evolution, but I mean, Jeff, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right. It's like Ricky Morton. It's almost like Ricky Morton. I think watching him today, watching him sell.
Well, Robert follows up and says he is a big fan of Jeff. I think.
Okay.
Jeff has a little evolution. I mean, Jeff does things like, he will. He's incorporated the face paint at different times. He of course likes to have his different music when he's a single star, but I think, again, for the most part, it's just Jeff still just gets. I mean, Jeff Hardy can just go to take his shirt off before he's going to go up to the top rope, and he gets a rock star scream from the female section of the crowd. Still, and that music hits, and all the dudes want to be him. They think he's the coolest guy. All the girls want to be with him. I mean, that's that magic, right? That's that magic formula you're looking for when you're trying to captivate a pro wrestling audience if you're a babyface.
Exactly. And what is the biggest tall tale sign? The reaction he gets, not only when he comes out, but during matches too. And when he makes his comebacks and when he does go to his finish and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So, I don't mean, everybody's got their own thing, but I think Jeff doesn't need to be changing much of anything. He's made a lot of money off of what he does and does it well. Okay. Up next, we get the Blackpool Combat Club. They're going to go up against Butcher, Blade, and Angelico. This is going to be kind of an all-out brawl at first. Of course, Regal's on commentary as that's become the staple, so he can help tell the story of the brutality that the Combat Club is dishing out. And at the end of it, we're going to see again all three members of the Combat Club. They all are applying some type of clubbing forearm or submission move, while Brian, who is the legal man, delivering the kickstand helico, and then transitions that into the triangle sleeper. So Blackpool Combat Club, Jimmy, it feels like they're just going to keep doing these just dominant trio matches, and it's just waiting for a trio that can step up, that's formidable enough to even really compete with them, because right now it's all been pretty one-sided.
Yeah, and obviously I'd love to see each and every one of them in a singles match contributing in the same factor. But like you said, they are a unit right now. But the only thing that I know, this is going to sound very nitpicky, the only thing that's really bothering me about the whole thing is the introductions. You see Bryan Danielson comes out through the tunnel, then Yuta comes out through the tunnel, but Mox still comes out through the crowd separate from everybody else. It makes him feel like he's not part of the group at times. I don't know if anybody else feels that, but for me, if you are the Blackpool Combat Club, you come out BCC together.
See, that's interesting you said that, because I had it actually written down. This is where we disagree on things. I get a different interpretation from it. I actually wrote down that, strangely, I actually like that they each have their own entrance still, because what it kind of feels like is they're a part of this very elite and exclusive underground fight club. And I kind of like the fact that they're coming from 3 different walks of life, 3 different resumes, and maybe they're not, going to breakfast together, but they always convene together at nighttime to fight and to stand back to back, shoulder to shoulder, and fight. So I don't know. It actually has a weird. That's how I interpret it. I guess that just shows you pro wrestling. It's all a matter of perception. Just how. Yeah, but I actually wrote. Because I'm usually like you. I normally, if you're going to be any type of a team or group for more than a few weeks, I want some coordinated wardrobe and look. I want some, I want it to feel like you're a team. I don't want it to feel like a random generator just spit out a couple wrestlers together. But in this situation, I think because of the underground feel it's supposed to have, I kind of like them all coming in their own entrance.
That's interesting. And like you said, they don't all dress alike either. They all have their own individual, unique look, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with everybody having their own individuality. But again, for me, I would rather see, like you said, William Regal is the one that brings them all together. I'd like, at least for when they go to the ring, for them to come as a unit.
Bandy Jacobs says, "I'm with you there, Jimmy. I think they should all come out as a group." Yeah, it's all about perception, what you want. But exactly. But overall, Black. I mean, and I'll be curious to see what we're building to here. Are we building to another unit of a trio that's going to challenge him, and there's no shortage of groups and alliances that could do that, or will it be kind of like how the Blackpool Combat Club came together? Will it be, some pairing of 3 individuals who have to come to love each other, respect each other, hate each other, whatever, and fight as a unit? So, be curious to see what we're building to here with the Blackpool Combat Club. Because as of now, we have Double or Nothing at the end of the month, and they, of course, announced some matches. As of now, I don't believe they're on any matches on the card. I
don't recall hearing that they're a part of any match right now.
Yeah. So, we'll stay tuned, but I'll tell you what, I think there's a plan, because AEW, for as many talents as AEW has, when you see certain acts on every single week, wrestling, not just even getting a backstage promo, but wrestling almost every single week, there's a plan, because they've come to realize, okay, we got to keep this going. We can't let it go weeks and weeks and weeks without follow up. So Wardlow's getting a match every week because there's obviously a plan, which we'll get to in a second. Blackpool Comic Club's getting a match every single week, and this is on Dynamite again. So, I got to think there's something there. Robert jumps back in. Robert Martinez, he says, "I disagree. I like the individuality. It's made Yuta a bigger star." Yeah, I mean, I guess having them all come out to their own music and different things, it keeps their individual marketing and their individual, stuff.
I get what you're saying, Robert, but at the same time, Yuta is a bigger star because of his association with Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and of course their leader, William Regal.
All right, moving on here. We see a quick backstage real quick with Jurassic Express. They come up and are talking to Ricky Starks and Hobbs. Of course, Starks and Hobbs came up to them last week and were poking and prodding at wanting to have a tag team title match. Jurassic Express says they think that they will go ahead and accept and give them a tag team title match. But first, Jungle Boy says he wants something. He wants a shot at that FTW title that Ricky Starks is carrying around. Jimmy, is the FTW title worth more than a cup of coffee right now?
It's
got history, but it's just been a thing that has been carried around for 2 years.
Yeah, it's almost more like an ornament than anything else. But at the same time, this is the opportunity. You talk about missed opportunities. Hopefully this isn't a missed opportunity for Jungle Boy to help elevate that FTW title into more relevance, if that makes sense. By him asking for this match, already it has people going, oh, he wants a shot at that title. It must mean something to him. So hopefully that progresses and it grows from there, as opposed to just being more like a backdrop to going into the tag team title match.
Yeah, I mean, again, obviously, if you were a fan of the original ECW, the FTW title certainly has great historic value, and Taz when he's in his prime then. But and I'll say this in general, the entire Team Taz thing in AEW has been very hot and cold. They get a few weeks where it gets real hot. And it's like, oh, this could be one of the, and then there's just other weeks where, and then funny enough, I think maybe the thing that was maybe the dark horse out of it all, Taz's actual son, Hook, he's become kind of the quiet rising, superstar out of this. They're doing it nice and slow. They're kind of letting like Rampage be his show, but he's just kind of developed this aura around him. He doesn't say a word, which is fun. And I don't know. I guess you got to start somewhere with the FTW title. I guess if you want to incorporate it and make it matter a little more, you got to start somewhere. But it was just I did chuckle when Jungle Boy said, "But before you get a tag team shot, I'm challenging for this." And I was like, "Oh,
okay." Yeah. So again, like I said, hopefully that helps people notice the title more and make it mean something. And why not put the title on a Jungle Boy and have him hold 2 championships? People are backing Jungle Boy. They're behind him.
I'm trying to think in history, has anybody actually ever? Did Taz ever get beat for that title, or did he always have that title? Like, I'm sure somebody in the chat will quickly correct me and knows this.
Yeah, so chime in quickly, please.
Yeah, without me making a great video here and just sitting here Googling and you watch me type.
Right.
Somebody in the chat room, but I don't know how often the FTW title has been on anybody else other than Taz. So, all right. Well, so Starks and Hobbs, they won a tag team title match. Wardlow wants his hands on MJF, and we're finally going to get some movement here, as Wardlow's going to have to earn it with yet another opponent. Mystery opponent, but it was teased with some clever lines last week, so it was kind of one of those things where people pretty much knew, but still had to tune in to get confirmation. Wardlow comes out and he gets even more of the Goldberg-like entrance, Jimmy. They start in the parking lot with him flanked by all the security and then walking to the ring. Still no music, but the chants are getting louder and louder, again, to the same rhythm as a Goldberg. It's a Wardlow.
Yeah.
They're getting louder and louder each week. MJF comes out and he introduces the big dub, William Morrissey, of course, best known to wrestling fans as the former Big Cass. He comes out 7 foot, biggest opponent that Wardlow's had to date. And Wardlow's overpowered for the first little bit of this match. They definitely let Morrissey get a good look here. He's throwing Wardlow around, bouncing him off the ring post outside. Finally, the cutoff is going to come here where Wardlow, though, he's going to be placed up on the top rope. He's going to elbow and knock Morrissey down. Wardlow is going to do a moonsault. He's going to be standing and does a moonsault on the top rope. Hits Morrissey, hits the delivery, but it still lands on his feet. He hits the moonsault and still lands on his feet. That was amazing to watch. This guy's 6'3" to do that.
Yeah, that was incredible. And look, see, here's the beautiful thing about Wardlow, and all that stuff you just described is them doing it right with Wardlow. And here's a guy who can do moves like that, like you said, a moonsault and still land on his feet while hitting the moonsault. But he doesn't just go out there and do it. He picks the right spots to do it in. In this match here, he was against a bigger, a seemingly stronger opponent. He did his job. He sold for him. He, but at the same, he fought a little bit from underneath, like a baby face, like an old school baby face does. Got the crowd behind him, and then he pulled out the big move when he needed, and ends up coming out victorious. And the crowd is so hot for this right now; they so much want to see it. And like they say, it does take two to tango. And MJF on the other end, especially right now, since they haven't tangled yet, on the microphone has just been dynamite. Sorry for the bad pun.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Picked a great spot to do that. Land on his feet. He then pulls the straps down. It's time for business. He goes, he beats Morrissey, but only hits one power bomb. So before we get into the real quick, before we get into the stuff with MJF that's going to take place here in a second, only beats Morrissey with one power bomb. Now, I do think, as I said last week, the last time I saw Morrissey in person was last summer and was on the bad side of a choke slam. It's a long way down. But I do think, just having seen him, I think he probably is legit the biggest guy that Wardlow has took on. I think he is legit a little bit bigger than Lance Archer. He's definitely bigger than Butcher and anybody else that Wardlow's been beaten on this path. So I don't know if it's, hey, only do one to him, because the last thing we want to do is on live TV have you try to do 2 or 3 and like you can't get them up, or you whatever. We don't want to break the mystique of the Almighty right now and Wardlow that's happening. Or was it a does Tony Khan or whoever the agent of the match go, hey, we think we might have this Morrissey guy back around sooner than later. Let's not kill him with 3 or 4 power bombs. Let's one will do it. Like I don't know. That caught my eye that they beat him with 1.
Yeah, it kind of surprised me, but at the same time, I liked it. I see that's his finishing move. He shouldn't have to do. For example, the tombstone pile driver of takers. It shouldn't take 4 pile drivers, tombstones to take somebody out. And if this is Wardlow, who's a big dude, big strong dude, and this is his finish, one should do the job and save that kick out for a very special moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, when he does the Powerbomb Symphony, it's not that the one that can't beat the other guy. That's because he just wants to keep delivering that punishment. Right. But I get what you're saying, and maybe who knows? Maybe there's a philosophical decision here of that's how dominant his one Powerbomb is it beat this 7-footer. He didn't, Right. So a lot of ways to look at it. But I also did look at it as maybe this is a little bit of protection for this other big guy I almost called him Big Cass. Morrissey looks great. He is in phenomenal shape. Looks great. He was on his game. He was full on heel. Crowd chanting, "We want Enzo!" A dueling chant of "We want Enzo." No, we don't. Yeah. Obviously, his former tag team partner, very much like Miss Blanchard, as we talked about earlier, a very polarizing figure in this business. Here's that chant. Starts to do a little Enzo impression and then kiss him all the finger. Right. So he was right there on his A game. He looked the part. I don't know what his Impact contract situation is, but I think I don't know. I think AEW, WWE, if that bridge is still there, I think want to see him back and I want to see him in one of these rings. I want to see him against the best possible competition.
I hear you.
So that was so that's our love for William Morrissey. All right, so Wardlow beats him. MJF is just furious, sends out every security guard and then some, and Wardlow just demolishes these security guards, gets the crowd just going crazy for, probably 30 or 40, probably a Royal Rumble's worth of guys that he just took out. Yeah. Gets on the mic. Wardlow says he is not going to stop until he gets his hands on MJF and he gets out of this contract with MJF. MJF says he will give it to him. He will give him a match, but that match is going to come with conditions. But we're not going to learn those conditions tonight. No, we're going to have to wait and learn those conditions at a contract signing, which will take place, Jimmy, next week in MJF's hometown of Long Island, New York.
Which is very interesting because if people have been following my riff and rants, I ranted recently about seeing too many contract signings. I'm getting quite, I don't want to say fed up, but enough is enough. But MJF has done a masterful job of wanting me to see this contract signing next week. Believe it or not, he's got me interested into finding out what his conditions are heading into this apparent match that he's talking about, possibly a Double or Nothing against Wardlow. And I don't even want to speculate what those conditions are because I don't.
No, let's speculate.
No, I don't want to. I just want to go in there with a clear mind and go, oh, that's all right, or if it is, it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. whatever the case may be. I want to be surprised. I don't want to get in there and hope for this and hope for that.
All right, well, fine. I won't share mine then. I want to.
No, you can share yours if you want.
No.
I want to hear it now.
No, I'll write them down. I'll put them in a box. I'm going to put them in this drawer right here, and then I'll pull it out next week, and I'll say, all right,
there you go. Okay.
Real quick, back to the FTW question. Ian Alfred, watching on Twitch. Love the Twitch audience out there watching for us.
Thank you.
Ian says Sabu had FTW belt at one point. And also the TLD says Sabu beat Taz. I do remember Taz. I remember that being a big feud for Taz with Sabu. I couldn't remember again the title thing. So thank you guys for giving us a little history, for being stat boys for us.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So next week. So we're finally. So I'd assume Double or Nothing's where we're going to get it, but we're going to find out the conditions and stipulations next week.
Right.
And that's good too. Make a contract signing mean something.
Exactly.
Contract signings across wrestling have gotten way too formulaic. So at least this one, like, there's a reveal of like what's in the contract, which makes total logical sense.
Yeah. One of the stipulations has to be, if I may make one, that there is to be no contact between MJF and Wardlow until the match happens.
All right. Well, I'll give you a second one. I'll give you one of them.
Okay.
In the match, Wardlow can't use a powerbomb.
Ooh. Okay.
I mean, that would be logical, right? If I'm MJF,
Yeah. You can't hit your big finish.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. We'll see. Enough speculating. We'll see this time next week. All right. Up next, we get Tony Schiavone in the ring. He brings out AEW World Champion Hangman Page. And Jimmy Page, did he turn heel, or did he just have a fire under his ass and just isn't going to do this, playful game of respect? He said he's going to embarrass CM Punk and just cut a very fiery promo here.
No, he did, and it felt very heelish, and that's exactly what I have written down in my notes. That did he turn heel? And you could tell by the reaction of even the diehards were booing him.
Yeah,
he was getting a lot of boos from the crowd that see, and I like seeing that, because so far I haven't been feeling Adam Page. You know what I mean? As world champion, he hasn't been the guy that he needs to be to for the company to hang their hat on at this moment. Maybe this turning him a little bit heel, putting him against CM Punk and lighting a fire under his butt, in that way will, get him to that level where the crowd will treat him as a legit heel.
The chase was definitely more entertaining. He had a great rise of momentum, a great, just a great bit of support in the chase and the quest to get his hands on Kenny Omega and to get that world title. The dog chasing the car was very entertaining, but then he got it. Then he got to the car, and now I kind of feel like hasn't been as good. So
yeah.
So we'll see. So CM Punk was not there. He noted CM Punk wasn't there. Punk will be in action next week against John Silver from Long Island. So we'll see if and when Hangman Page makes.
And he said when he faces CM Punk, it will be a fight.
Yeah. What did he also say? He said, "I'm not going to come out here and cut. I'm not going to cut a." What did he referenced a Bret Hart? He said, "I'm not going to do a Bret Hart match. Or I'm not going to do a what did he say? He made a mention of he's not going to,
shake hands and
pander and yeah. Again, Shaq can fill in the exact quote, but I mean, it was. I was really caught off guard. I was not the promo expected, and he, of course, I think if we understand correctly, he was supposed to be on Dynamite last week, had COVID, so they kept him off, had to rewrite the show a little bit.
Right.
So I don't know if this promo was what they were going to have him do last week, or if they've all of a sudden are pivoting and they figured, hey, we might need a Hangman Page on the heel side of the fence in the locker room soon.
Well, right. Well, it makes sense, because going into a match, especially when it's your world title match, which in theory would main event your pay-per-view, it's always best to have someone cheered and someone booed, as opposed to two guys that the people are going, oh, who do I cheer for? I like both guys.
Yeah, you got to have a real special baby versus baby situation to make that go off as well as it is in your mind or on paper. Like controlling the crowd in that moment is way tougher. Way tougher.
Absolutely.
Sheed Black super chat: Wardlow versus Braun Breaker future WrestleMania match. Well, I don't know if they're going to be in the same company at the same time, but but if I would certainly agree with Wardlow and Braun Breaker being, main eventing the card, the biggest card of the year of whatever company that they're in, in a matter of time.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Whether or not they get in the same company, we'll wait and see. All right, up next we get Santana versus Jericho. Of course, this has been this is getting real gruesome and real. It's a grudge match, a grudge feud here between the two groups. Obviously, like we discussed last week, talking about take you out and hits and some of the language they decided to use. So Santana, he's got Ortiz with him. Jericho's got all the JAS. Eddie Kingston is absent for this entire episode. I like that, Jimmy, selling this. This insane fireball. So I'm glad that they did not have Eddie Kingston on TV tonight. I like that.
No, I absolutely like it too. Not coming out there with an eye patch on or something like that, especially considering later on when we see an eye patch. It happens too often in wrestling where you see the same, even though one is a black eye as opposed to a fireball. But again, or from the mist or whatever you call it. But I enjoyed this match as well. I thought it was a good match. I thought, Chris Jericho is making me jealous. He's well, I don't want to give away his age, but he's still looking good and still working really good. And he's doing it, man. I hope younger people are watching, younger talents are watching him and learning from him and knowing that sometimes it's not what you do, it's how you do it and how you connect with your audience. And Chris Jericho has connected with his audience amazingly.
Yeah, I mean, Chris has a tremendous career when you look at his durability of minimal injuries, working smart, but not working boring. He's never been a boring worker, but there's just certain things that he's either not going to do or he's going to do them seldom, only when needed. I mean, it's pretty amazing that he has stayed in the shape that he's in.
Yeah.
All things considered.
Absolutely.
And is he older or younger than you?
Younger.
But I can't be by much though. He's
younger.
Yeah, he's younger. Okay.
Let's put it that way. kind of like someone else who popped up after this, Billy Gunn. He just
he's a freak.
Freak of nature. I was going to say yes, exactly.
He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
So Jericho does win. There's a little bit of distraction to the ref Aubrey. Jericho's gonna hit a low blow, hits a Judas effect. So and then after that, it's a numbers game, 5-1-2. So
again, just being nitpicky, I wish they'd find more creative ways to distract their referees. That's all.
Yeah, that's kind of I think we've established that's kind of a running project that needs to. I mean, maybe a former referee consultant would be of use. Not that I don't want to have you on Wednesdays, but I'm just saying.
It's okay. I like being here on Wednesdays.
Oh, very good. All right. So they've been promoting all night that there's going to be the Varsity Blondes who are going to call out the House of Black. So we have Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., and Julia Hart. Of course, Julia Hart's got this eye patch on. She's, her face is so obviously we can tell that she's still dealing with the mist. Hasn't been the same since that. Pillman cuts this big old promo that, Coach Harbaugh from the Ravens is there at ringside. He's got history with the Pillman family, and Pillman cuts this big old promo, and he wants the House of Black. He wants to avenge what they have done. And so music hits, lights go out. House of Black does their whole shebang entrance. They come out. They're in the ring, even on the on the turnbuckles like they do. Varsity Blondes are looking at them the whole time. Lights come back on, or they don't come back on, but they've circled Varsity Blondes. And House of Black's the first ones that makes the first move physically, and they just start brawling. Before we get to the Julia Hart stuff, I like Brian Pillman Jr. I like Brian. So none of this is personal to him. This is all just a booking question or a booking critique. You couldn't have made the Varsity Blondes look any more JV than even Jim Ross on commentary is saying, "Hey guys, you might not want to wait for them to come down from the buckle. You might want to attack." What are you waiting for?
It made absolutely zero sense, and especially when you're outnumbered by the heels 3-2, this is your opportunity. You're supposedly hot. You are steaming. You are blowing smoke out your ears. And these guys come down to the ring. They turn their backs to you. That's an insult. And, you know, even the odds by knocking one of them off the turnbuckle, he can bump over the top to the floor. And now it's an even fight, 2-on-2, until the third guy finally gets back in the ring after selling a little bit to, you know, put the odds in favor of the, the House of Black.
Now, I'm not gonna rip it on the case of like what I thought should happen or would happen didn't happen. So I'm not gonna like, I mean, because what I thought, I think was what a lot of people thought. You know, House of Black circles and has these guys surrounded, and then Julia, and then the blondes, Brian and Grip, they stand in front of Julia to protect her. I think we all thought maybe Julia's going to low blow him or do something and a turn on him. That didn't happen, and that's fine. We'll see where the story goes. But just the whole fact that like you call them out, you see this whole long entrance, and they're still the first ones to lay their hand. All right, so that happens, and then so brawl, and then it gets to where they just have Garrison in the ring, and they end up Malachi Black grabs Julia, gives her a chair, wants her to hit Garrison. She can't bring herself to do it, so then he just starts to rip at her eye patch, and I don't know what's going on here. And then as all that's happening, the Death Triangle comes out, and they get House of Black to run off here. So what I thought was going to be maybe the segment of the night and big business could be accomplished turned out to be one of the most wasted 5 minutes, and 5 minutes was valuable in the show, again, as we'll get to here soon.
Yeah, again, I'm a big proponent of calling out missed and wasted opportunities. This was definitely one of those opportunities that was missed big time.
Yeah. So that's that. So that was that, and then you already have now Rey Fenix out there as it came out with the Death Triangle. He's gonna have a match up next against Dante Martin. This is another Owen Hart qualifier, and this one just some athletic insanity happening in this. I mean, there's so many different spots. One I'll just call out here real quick just before the finish. They both on the top rope, and they both simultaneously do a backflip together, kind of like a Spanish Fly kind of deal. But they land on their feet. Both men just land on their feet. So again, another acrobatic aerial move. A little more impressive than I guess what Wardlow did, because these two had to stay in sync with each other. If you want to look at it in that regard, Phoenix is ultimately going to get the win and advance and put himself into this Owen Hart bracket. This match, Jimmy, any thoughts here?
No, and you know what? I'm not a big proponent of spotty matches, as they call them, when you see too many of them, because we hadn't seen any so far tonight. This match fit because it was the only one of the night. We didn't see another one like it, so I was entertained by what I was seeing, as opposed to here we go again, another. I hate to use the term spot fest. It was fine. It worked tonight, for me, anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I agree. I've said to you before, I always kind of look at wrestling in general, but especially AEW, look at it as a buffet. You just want to have a little taste, a little bit of everything. I don't want too much of any one thing, and this match had its flavor. Yeah. All right, so Rey Fenix advances. He gets himself qualified into the tournament. So now we know 7 of the 8 who are going to be in this tournament. So the right side of the bracket, and these are the 2 matches that are going to happen next week in Long Island. The right side of the bracket is Jeff Hardy versus Darby, which, Darby, they even cut to a quick promo that Darby cuts, and he basically even says, like, I don't really need to cut a promo. This match just kind of tells itself. It's 2 guys looking in a mirror 20 years apart. Right. And I'm excited about it too, because Matt had told me years ago that that when Jericho first got to AEW and the Darby, of course, was starting there as part of that foundation, Jericho even said, "Hey, there's a kid here. He's your brother. He's got that same kind of." Yeah. So this will be fun to watch. You got Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin. Then the other match on the right side of the bracket is Adam Cole versus Dax Harwood from FTR. So right there, 2 interesting matchups. And then on the left side, the other side of the bracket, you have Rey Fenix up against Kyle O'Reilly. And then you have Samoa Joe up against the Joker, the wild card, the mystery opponent. Jimmy, 2-parter.
Okay.
Give me some crazy guesses of who the Joker's going to be.
Oh,
based upon how the bracket looks and who the possible could be. Who wins?
Wow. Who wins each one of those 4 matches?
Who wins the whole tournament?
Who wins the whole tournament? I'm telling you, there is an argument to be made, like I said earlier, for Jeff Hardy. But if you're looking at, but I can see Jeff going next week and with the idea of helping elevate. Jeff's the kind of guy who'd want to elevate a Darby Allin to the next level.
Yeah.
And I could also see a guy like a badass like Samoa Joe going through to the whole thing. For me, though, if it's somebody to honor Owen Hart and his legacy, there's a lot of guys you can pick. Overall, I like Adam Cole, though.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole has got, when you talk about ticking off all the boxes, and a lot of people say he reminds them of a young Shawn Michaels. There are also little aspects of him that remind me of a annoying Nugget as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would be almost fitting, in a sense.
I could see. I could make a real case for whoever wins the Adam Cole versus Dax Harwood match next week. Mm-hmm. That will be the winner of this whole damn thing.
Right.
I think for everything you said about Cole, but also with Dax, yes, I know he's still a tag team guy and he's carrying tag team gold. But as I said, and I've asked, I wonder, could we see Brett pop up and be a manager for them? They got rid of Tully as their manager. So wouldn't that be just quite the transition of why would Brett manage Dax and his tag team? Well, what better reason than Dax Harwood wins a tournament that's all in the name of Brett's late brother. So that, and then to the other point, I guess. So Samoa Joe, you're putting Samoa Joe up against a mystery opponent. Mm-hmm. You try to think, okay, who's out there?
Yeah.
Certainly, if they're going to do this, you got to think they have somebody who's got a little bit of weight to them, credibility wise, right, to be marked in this. I mean, I'm looking at who's available, who's free out there, a free agent. And I saw a few people in the chat also say it too. Cesaro comes to mind. Or
that one would be interesting.
And he's a guy too. I guess he'd be Claudio, or maybe I don't know, or maybe he'd find some variation of Cesaro. I don't know, but he is one though. I'm like, he would fit winning also a tournament like this. So
absolutely. I forgot about him. See, there are a lot of options out there that can work.
Yeah. So very excited. I'm excited about this bracket. So right side of the bracket will happen next week. The other side will happen, I assume, the following week, and then I believe the finals, the winner declaring match will be a double or nothing. So exciting couple of weeks there, and that's just the men's. We don't even have the whole women's figure. I think we'll know. I think we'll know all the women's after Rampage this Friday.
Okay.
All right. From this point on, the rest of the show is the women's here. Women's division. Thunder Rosa comes out. She cuts a promo talking about being top of the division, best of the division, best in the world. Women's division being the best. Talked about how before she got where she is, she was inspired by one wrestler who she would drive up and down the coast of California to see, and that is the number one contender, the top ranked Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb comes out. They establish a level of respect for each other, but then it quickly turns confrontational, as Deeb says, I too want that title in this division to represent the best, but in order for that to happen, I need to be carrying that title because I am just still better than you. I'm on a different level than you. It starts to get chippy with the words. So that is going to be your women's title match at Double or Nothing. Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb. I like the idea that happened here. I'm fine with the match. Thought this went on too long. Thought this could have been accomplished if we could have shaved a little bit of time off of this.
Yeah, you can say that, but at the same time, it did accomplish the goal it was set out to do and make people interested in this match, and it made me interested and want to see this match as well. I like I guess shaving a few minutes out for this would have been a little bit. Sometimes less is more.
Well, and I'm just saying again, I've been kind of running this theme this whole podcast because we watched this whole Dynamite and I can just tell. And I hate when this happens on like indie shows.
Trying to cram everything in.
Yeah, I hate when this happens on indie shows. Obviously your main event's your last thing, right? And when guys and girls get too careless early on in the show, and they go long, or they don't get out of the ring fast enough, and you can't get to the next thing, whatever the case may be. The one that ends up suffering the most is that last match, especially if there's a hard, if it's an indie show that's whatever, you're only fighting against maybe venue curfew. You got to be on time there. But this is TV. They have a hard out.
Yeah.
So this big thing that you're building around for your main event, which we're about to get to, I mean, they took the ring with like 11 minutes to go and still had to take a commercial inside of this. So that felt a little rushed, which we'll get to here in just a second. Yeah. Again, I mean, and running these things. I mean, that's. I'm not saying I can do any better, but it just is one of those things where I go back and I look. I'm like, could have been a little bit shorter. Dylan Matthews says I heard Cesaro is now going by Claudio, and they have Cesaro spelled CSRO. All right, well that would be a great merging of his two personas. Yeah, I like that. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so now comes main event time. It is the unification of the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Now you have the original champion, Deonna Purrazzo. She has a title reign of 115 days. She was not able to make it. I believe this was like a year ago,
right?
or not a year. You had her as champion, then she wasn't able to do the title defense that she needed to do. So then Mercedes Martinez became interim champion. So now we're finally going to get one undisputed Ring of Honor champion. They are in Baltimore, as noted on commentary. Baltimore was one of the I don't want to say headquarters or strong grounds for Ring of Honor. You know, that Baltimore, Philadelphia area. So fitting there. So there's history there for the company. I'm a big Deonna Purrazzo fan. I love seeing her here on AEW Dynamite. Yeah. I did feel like this suffered, again, being crammed with time, throwing a commercial. Granted, it was picture-in-picture, so you could still watch the match, but throwing the commercial in there. The finish is Mercedes ends up getting the win with the Dragon Sleeper. But I'm watching that, you know, they crown her champ, and I'm just watching the audience, and everybody's just standing there. There was not a lot of reaction or emotion, which I kind of just felt like, man, supposed to be this big moment, but didn't feel it.
It's funny you said that, because I have that written down right here. I said, you know, the women worked really hard and tried to do what they could with the time they had. And at times it did feel a little bit rushed, but at the same time, they worked really hard. There was some snug stuff going on in there. It was a good match by the ladies. They put on a hell of a show. But even during the match, the crowd seemed appreciative, but not reactive, not really very reactive. And again, like you said, after the finish, I was expecting more of a reaction that didn't happen. And it didn't feel like she got the proper, whether it was time constraints or whatever the case may be, it didn't feel like the post-match, you know, celebration, for lack of a better term, was there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. The crowd felt like they knew to respect it and appreciate the girls out there, but they weren't invested into it.
Right.
Like it just, you know, they knew that they needed to give an applause when the match was over, but then that applause quickly, there was no just, you know.
Yeah, it almost felt like they were being respectful to the ladies, but at the same time, just not enveloped in it.
There wasn't an investment there. So, so we'll see. We'll see. We'll watch the numbers come out tomorrow. We'll see what the all important ratings and key demos say. Of course, you can use social media as your barometer. Go search AEW Dynamite, see what that says. All kinds of different ways to measure and find whatever opinions are going to line up with your own. That's AEW Dynamite tonight from Baltimore, again, as they are on the road to Double or Nothing. Quite the stacked Dynamite next week, as we talked about. They're going to have the start of the tournament. We got MJF and his contract signing with Wardlow. Lots of good stuff. We have
I thought tonight's was a stacked Dynamite.
They're all stacked Dynamite.
Oh, okay. Just confirming.
FTW title next week.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. Jimmy, give me some plugs in the Jimmy Korderas world.
Jimmy Korderas is still doing my thing weekdays with my Ref and Ranch. You can catch me there. You can catch me here with you on Wednesday nights. And we look back at Dynamite. And you can catch me at Jimmy Korderas on Twitter, at Real Jimmy Korderas on Instagram. And I'm out there having fun, talking wrestling when I can. And when I'm not doing that, I'm doing my own Ref the Chef stuff.
Ref the Chef.
Yeah.
I like it. it. I am at Justin LaBar again here every Monday and Wednesday. Friday mornings, I'm on Busted Open 10 a.m. with Dave LaGreca and Mark Henry. Spar with LaBar. Again, make sure you tweet at Jimmy and I. Let us know how you're consuming this podcast. I love it. I try to retweet and like them. Always fun to read. Leave a comment if you haven't done so already. Hit the like button if you could do so, or thumbs up, or whatever the hell it is on whatever platform you're watching. Subscribe, tell a friend, all those things help keep this thing growing. Lots of good stuff coming up here on Wrestling Inc. Raj got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Very exciting. So, a lot of stuff going on. All right, until next week. He's Jimmy. I'm Justin. Thanks for all the live chat.